What a joy, Mr. Chris. It's days like today when I feel blessed to even be able to do this, but spectacular. Welcome back to Guildford.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to see you.
It's lovely to see you too.
You riding high at the top of the table, us right down the bottom.
I was going to say, you're looking in fine fettle for a man staring at the barrel of relegation. But it's all right. Neither will last too long, hopefully.
Well, look, we are here today. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We are here to talk Yamaha guitars, the world of Chris Buck and Cardinal Black, maybe some pedal settings, maybe some technique. I don't know. But I guess the most important news is that finally, after what seems like forever,
far be it from me to say.
The sort of the normal peoples amongst us are going to be able to buy, or at least try and buy a Chris Buck Signature Revstar.
Yeah.
So tell us, what have you got there, Mr. Buck? And you know, for those that perhaps haven't seen the, you know, don't know the story, what's the Revstar journey?
Yeah. So this is my Signature Revstar, which is a bit surreal to say, to be honest. This one's actually been on the road with me for the last year or so. So there's a couple of little dings and scratches and road wear showing up, but yeah, I guess it all starts probably about 2016. I started playing Revstar. I'd seen one in a music shop and just fell in love with its simplicity as much as anything. Just kind of ergonomically very straightforward guitar, three-way switch at the time. Obviously that's kind of changed on the later iterations, but wrap over tailpiece, P90s, it just spoke to the kind of simpleton, the inner simpleton and outer simpleton in me. As someone who doesn't particularly like fiddly guitars and just likes things straight, you know, kind of as they come, and I just started using it pretty religiously, and that very kindly culminated then in a custom shop the Yamaha made for me in 2020. I picked that up at NAMM in 2020 in January, just before the world went sideways, so I think all of the grand touring plans that I had for that initially were kind of shelved, but just it became my lockdown guitar and beyond, and it's just lived a life. It's been literally everywhere with me, from, you know, California to Cairo. And everywhere in between, and this was kind of first mentioned, I guess, you know, making that a kind of publicly available guitar back in about 1974, it feels like, and yeah, it's kind of been the fruition of a lot of prototypes, just a lot of research, and, you know, kind of time spent with the guitar, I guess.
I absolutely assumed that all of the dates that I saw you doing last year, 2025 this is, I assumed that was the custom shop Yamaha, but you're saying it's this one.
Bit of both.
Right.
Custom shop's been out with me. that's kind of Old Faithful.
Because that's got all the, you can see all the finish cracking.
Yeah, so that's yeah, that's kind of seen a life and seen a lot of road use. This one's been with me at every step of the way though, just kind of interchangeable really, and it's just nice to have, finally, nice to have a guitar that I can kind of show the world without being particularly kind of conscious that maybe you shouldn't be seeing this just yet.
Well, look, other than the enormous price difference between buying a custom shop and this particular Revstar. This particular Revstar, by the way, is about £1,200. This is Chris's full signature Revstar. What are the sort of or even are there any sort of spec and feature differences between the Japanese one and this one?
I mean, principally, it's pretty much the same guitar. In line with the second generation of Revstar, the body size is the newer body size. I guess mine had an ebony fingerboard as well, which, to be honest, I don't have any particular tonal preference for ebony over rosewood. I just like quite dark rosewood, so ebony seemed like a kind of safer bet as to kind of, well, it's ebony, it's going to be darker. But, you know, pretty much every other guitar I own is a rosewood fingerboard, so that was a no-brainer. The tuning pegs are very subtly different as well. They're Grovers on my custom shop. These are Clouzons, just to help with the balance of the guitar generally. It's just certain guitars seem kind of very finely balanced. At the moment you stick something that's a kind of lead weight at the top end of the guitar, it maybe wants to dive, whereas this is just perfectly balanced. P90s like mine, wrap over tailpiece like mine, master volume, master tone, no push-pull, no nothing like that. Three-way switch as well, like mine. Obviously the newer generation, the Revstar is the five-way switch. This, like I said, appeals to the inner idiot in me, so it's back to a three-way. And that's pretty much it, really.
So same pickups and same hardware that's on the...
Same pickups, yeah. We went through a load of different prototypes of pickups. It took a couple of months, you know, kind of R&D in, and various magnets, various specs of pickups. And the pickups that I've had in my Revstar for about the last 2 years are these pickups. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, that was a particular kind of feature of the guitar that I wanted to get right, and I wanted to put a lot of effort into. So the caveat there is my ability to retain sound is absolutely woeful. So I trusted someone far more kind of technically adept than myself to kind of be switching them in and out and recording clips and going back and forth and kind of reanalyzing things. So yeah, I'm, you know, needless to say, kind of incredibly proud of it, and it feels like it's been a long time coming. So
I think it's become such an extension of you and your guitar tone now to hear you playing. It's like a simple 2P90 kind of guitar. Some of the things that I'm always intrigued about, sometimes I think when you've got like a guitar of that sort of ilk, sort of drawing perhaps inspiration on American brands that perhaps a bit more G than they are F. You don't want the pickup switch up here. You prefer the pickup switch down here.
Honestly, just having spent as much time as I did with not just my Revstar, my custom shop, but the Revstar prior to that. The one I fell in love with initially was an RS 502 in shot black. That was just such a great guitar, and that, you know, went everywhere with me for a year or two while I was touring, and that pretty much formed the kind of basis of what would ultimately go on to become my signature model. I think Yamaha were probably slightly, or at least the custom shop was slightly disappointed when they essentially gave me the run of the place. They were like, what do you want to do? I was like, can you make me that one, but in gold, please? And they were like, you can do anything you want. I was like, oh, cool, yeah, great, I'll have that one in gold, please. It was...
It's just an easy man to please.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Everything, you know, as much as I guess I could have started making changes and moving pickup selectors around, you know, I've become so used to everything about this guitar, you know, feels like the kind of truest extension of myself of an instrument that I've had, and I think that's probably time spent as much as anything else.
Neck and fretboard radius and stuff, is that how would you describe it? Is it sort of, you know,
amazing?
Apart from being amazing, is it on the chunkier side or the sort of straight down the middle?
Pretty much straight down the middle. We've got a 12-inch radius fingerboard as well, stainless steel frets. I'm having a little discussion with Pete about stainless steel frets there, and I take it he's on the other side of the equation, or the argument. I spent far too long stood in front of loud amps to be able to tell if there's any total differences between stainless steel frets or one's made out of clay, to be honest.
Do you know, I heard someone talking about there's much more, apparently, or what's much more important is the type of steel used to make the fret.
Right, okay.
So, and I'm entirely going off rubbish that I've watched on the internet, but apparently, yes, you can have rubbish stainless steel frets, and you can have good stainless steel frets.
Well, I hope this stuff has come from...
as you can with, you know, good and bad nickel frets.
Yeah.
I think fundamentally, nicely crowned frets, whatever they're made of, are always better than badly profiled frets.
Well, the Welshman in me hopes it's come from Port Talbot, but I doubt that's the case.
It could be. You never know.
Yeah, it could be. I doubt it'd be much of a selling point for the guitar, to be honest. So, yeah.
Give us some tones and isolation then, without me spoiling it for everybody.
Yeah, cool. So, neck position. Middle position. And then bridge position. Something like that.
Have you got any kind of modulation pedal on at the moment? Or not?
No, that's just me wobbling the neck around, which makes no difference according to the people of YouTube.
You've
started me now. You've set me off.
There is a movement in your guitar sound that was either going to be a really subtle but beautiful harmonic tremolo pedal that you were going to get going, or it was just. And I cannot understand how anybody can watch a player do what you do and fail to hear that movement and not just accept it. I mean, it's all very second nature to you, but it's this all the time, isn't it? To sort of accentuate that. I love it, man. I mean, it sounds amazing.
I guess inevitably when you play as much as you do, it kind of becomes second nature, and there's probably, to kind of admit an element of exaggeration or kind of maybe theatricalness about it. It's just part of the way I play guitar now. I don't really do it consciously. I'm not thinking about trying to add anything. It just feels like it adds a little bit of depth, dimension, and movement. But I can appreciate if you're filming yourself from the headstock looking down, it probably does get quite annoying.
I don't think so.
Well, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the people that get disproportionately annoyed by this stuff online.
I don't think it's I've not read someone saying just the fact that someone's moving annoys me. I've just read people going they don't believe that that it affects the tone, and I'm just like I can't not hear it.
I find myself doubting my sanity on various occasions. I've watched or listened to clips of myself with my eyes closed to try and ascertain whether it is actually doing anything, and I'm pretty convinced it is. So it's somewhat vindicating to hear you say that. So
I mean, it's funny, isn't it? The P90. The P90 lives in the shadow of the single coil and the humbucker with regards to how often you see it on a guitar. Particularly, I think the bridge pickup does a thing that if you put a single coil at the bridge, it's very bright, it's quite harsh. You put a humbucker at the bridge, it's sort of quite aggressive. That just seems open and magical and all the other good words that I'll go and look up in the thesaurus.
Yeah, honestly, for me, P90s are probably the epitome of a great guitar pickup. I think, like you said, because of, at least chronologically, they live in the shadow of humbuckers, because humbuckers came after and they bucked the hum, which some people perceive to be a kind of particular issue with P90s. So I guess in that sense, they're kind of seen as the lesser, older brother, but for me, like, it's the ultimate cliche, I guess, to say it's the halfway house between like a Strat single coil or a Tele single coil and a PAF or a humbucker. But there's a clarity, there's like an articulation, there's a depth, and there's a grunt and a girth and all other words that begin with G. They sound awesome, and a great set of P90s. That was why we took so much care over these pickups in particular, because I was like, that's got to be right.
They're a Yamaha wound pickup, right? So it's not like a branded or
no Yamaha pickups, but like I said, we went through about 5 or 6 different prototypes. So it was,
Well, speaking of grunt and other things that begin with G, let's pop some drive on. But I think, again, you're very well known in guitar circles, but if you're watching this video and you're not familiar with Chris, pay attention, I think, to you bring the dynamics out in a guitar in a way that, for some guitar players, it's, particularly if you play with a pick all the time, it's volume up all the time, it's, and that's a style and that's a vibe and it's cool. But I think you go from like the full light to dark, sort of range of tones. And I think it's always fascinating to watch because, again, I think when you get to your level, it's so subconscious now. You don't even know that you're doing it. But if you pay attention, you'll learn something, I guarantee it. But let's put a bit of drive in. And I'm guessing it's not a heavy drive, right?
No, it's pretty, like myself, pretty mild.
We're going to talk about your playing. Apologies to all the people at Yamaha's marketing department who are going, talk about the guitar more. But you can see it's the good workman needs good tools, right? So and that's your tool of choice. But just watching you play, I've obviously we've met a few times and I've had the opportunity to talk about this before. But I love how you get every ounce out the guitar. You're always on the always on the pickup,
fiddling about. Yeah.
Although a couple of things I haven't seen you do much is. You're not a big user of the little finger. You're much more of you'll slide to a note and then back down rather than perhaps use your little finger to hammer on. Yeah. And I haven't seen you really touch the volume and the tone controls yet. So are they two parts of sort of the guitar you don't use a lot?
Little finger, definitely. Little finger, again, as the fine people of YouTube love to point out, doesn't get a great deal of use.
But you know what though? I would say all my favourite guitar players, if I really watch them play it, and I'm staggered because I go, you get all these fabulous runs using 3/4 of your digits. It's like, I mean, it doesn't hold you back. That's for sure.
I mean, it gets a lot of use in the kind of more chordal sort of, all that kind of hammer-on sort of Hendrixy stuff. But lead, more kind of typically lead playing, not really. It's just, I mean, it's weaker, isn't it? It's inherently weaker. Why would I try and throw that in the equation. So little finger, not really. Volume knob gets a lot of use. Tone knob less so, if I'm honest. I mean, if I had my custom shop Revstar with me, you'd see that the pretty much all of the paint is gone around the volume knob, which is kind of testament to how much use that gets. Tone knob less so, and I think that's probably because of the way I play with my fingers and pick, especially with the volume as well. Like, I've experimented with guitars in the past with treble bleeds in the volume, and I don't like the way that it retains the top end.
Right.
Because it's kind of part of the sound that if you roll your volume back, it gets a little bit darker. Like if you play with your fingers, it's a little bit softer, it's a little bit less aggressive or kind of direct. So there's a lot of tonal variation and kind of responsiveness that you can get out of a guitar without resorting to kind of changing stuff, you know, as to what you're using particularly on the guitar. So yeah, volume knob, I would say, you know, a lot of swells, a lot of
that treble bleed thing, and again, if you're not familiar with that, the sort of natural characteristic of most volume controls is as you come off the maximum volume, it takes a bit of the top end off the guitar as well, and a treble bleed circuit is designed not to do that. The more I've sort of got into playing my own guitars, I've realised that it's actually some guitars sound amazing as that amount of treble comes off, and others lose it too fast.
Yeah.
And I am tempted to put treble bleed circuits in those ones that
well, I guess
lose
the
it too
value
fast.
I guess the value of the pot comes into play then, as the kind of resistance or whatever the kind of I'm not a technical man, clearly, but I've always particularly liked that about the Revstar and the way it interacts with, you know, where I am on the volume.
It's I mean it's a beautiful looking board, and we've heard a clean sound with nothing and a sort of bit of overdrive. Is the overdrive from your Electric Lightning? Is that what you?
Bit of everything at the minute, switching back and forth. So a bit of Electric Lightning, boost coming from the Electric Lightning as well, a bit of King of Tone, various bits and pieces.
You're still stacking lots and lots of drive pedals together.
Yeah, that's the kind of, the more hectic it gets, the more drive pedals are on, generally speaking. It's just trying to find drive pedals which interact and play nicely with each other and are complementary to each other, you know.
It must be a joy to have the G3, or not even a joy, essential really to have a G3 switching system if you're changing from different combinations to other combinations.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, I use the G3, it kind of feels like you've sort of invited Da Vinci over to paint your living room. It's literally a one-off, one-on kind of thing. There's no presets, there's no banks, there's nothing like that. It's, you know, it still involves a little bit of tap dancing to kind of get different configurations or combinations. But it's just, I was so accustomed to using the Quartermaster prior to that I kind of felt like, well, let's just use it as an extension of that and a little bit more compact and a bit more kind of less real estate vertically. But it's a couple of drive pedals. Just this board is actually smaller than the kind of previous iteration, which was a ball ache to fly with. Was constantly, depending on which airport you're at, right on the cusp of the 32 kilogram weight limit. So it would miraculously gain or lose weight during the course of a flight. So we, as I found out, particularly in, I think it was Nashville, maybe charged us an arm and a leg because it was about half a kilogram heavier than it was when we left Heathrow, miraculously, despite being exactly the same.
Well, so, I would blame the calibration of their scales.
Yeah.
What's your? Have you got like an example of your highest gain lead tone that you would use, or is that not really a vibe that you go for?
If we kick in the King Tone, kick in the Electric Lightning and Delay maybe, and probably this Decibelics Golden Horse as well, which is the kind of Clawon style thing. That would be.
Not even that loud, is it?
No.
All the drive pedals seem to be pushing the mid-range and keeping the bass end quite tight. And even then, it's not like high gain, is it?
Yeah, I'm not a high gain guy particularly. I get a little bit lost. It's my kind of kryptonite if I've got too much gain going on and I'm just constantly trying to back the volume off to sort of take some of the aggression and the fizz away. But, I mean, even loudness, I'm not a I don't like being particularly loud.
Says the man with 4 amps on stage.
I know. Do you know what the irony is though? They're not actually that loud, and this is the sort of inner valleys boy in me who sort of grew up doing weddings and pubs and clubs and social clubs around the valleys. Without, you were lucky if you had a PA system. Never mind had a monitor.
Yeah.
I've just grown so accustomed to not really having anything apart from my own vocal in my wedge.
Yeah.
So consequently, I don't want to be too loud on stage because if I'm drowning out the drummer, I'm losing sense of time. And if I'm drowning out everything else, I can't tell whether I'm in tune or not. So if I know I'm in tune and I'm in time, I'm good, I'm gravy, I'm good to go. But yeah, I don't like being too loud on stage. I find it a little bit disorientating.
You'll be able to find more details on the Andertons website. I suspect you'll be able to go to most Yamaha guitar dealers and try one of these. The Revstar thing for me has really, really given Yamaha an identity in the guitar market in a way that maybe it hasn't had since the old SG 2000 days. Because as good as Pacifica is, and we're going to talk to that, of course Pacifica has a much more familiar look to it, whereas I think Revstar has its own sort of unique identity.
Honestly, that was one of the things which drew me to it in the first place. I've kind of said it before, but it was its own thing. It wasn't a T-type, it wasn't an S-type, it wasn't immediately derived from anything particularly obvious, and that's quite hard to do, I think, in a fairly saturated guitar market these days. So, yeah.
Well, look, that's super cool. I think, actually, depending on when this video goes out, if you dive on over to follow Chris on his own social channels, you're doing a bit of a tour of North America, right?
Yeah, so we're and myself, the band, are going over to NAMM to do a couple of things, and then I'm doing a couple of clinics in California, in Chicago, doing Sweetwater, sorry to mention competing establishments, but yeah, a couple of various bits and bobs around North America.
Well, look, go and check one of those out if you can. Now, would you mind, Mr. Chris, I know you're not as familiar with these guitars as perhaps you are with your own, helping me through what is now the new Pacifica 11. That's topical, isn't it?
11?
Stranger Things. Yeah, apparently it can just do stuff and move things with its mind. So you've got Standard Plus, which Chris isn't holding, but Standard Plus is the more affordable one, and then you've got the professional one, which Chris is holding. And largely, other than country of origin, I've only got to tell you about the specs once because they're not that dissimilar. So we'll rattle through. 2-piece holder on the professional, 3-piece holder on the standard. All the pickups and the hardware are the same on either guitar. So you've got the Rupert Neve voiced pickups with a humbucker and a single coil at the bridge. You've got Goto bridge and locking tuners. The focus switch on the tone control pops out, gives you a focus switch which only works on the bridge pickup, but it adds mid-range and bass end and rolls off a bit of treble, which is very nice, especially on a bridge T-style pickup. Compound radius fretboards on the Pro ones, which I think go from a 10 to a 12-inch radius, and then it's just a standard 12-inch radius on the standard one. And love this. Come on, internet, comment below. Does this make a difference? I forget the jargon. Something like accelerated aging treatment vibration-y thing. I'll put on screen what it's officially called. But it's a technique that I've sort of heard used on acoustic guitar tops. I've even heard it used on hi-fi speakers before. Right, yeah. But this idea that it's obviously like hundreds of hours, or simulates like hundreds or even thousands of hours of wood vibrating.
We were worried about me wobbling the neck.
Yeah.
Little did I know.
So this is different to the sort of torrefication process of perhaps drying the wood out. This is about just moving it, trying to emulate, I suppose, what thousands of hours of playing would do. So obviously that's just on the Pro one rather than the standard one. I suspect that is a feature that only you're going to have to own a guitar, you're going to have to be very familiar with electric guitars, particularly new ones, and you're going to have to go, yeah, there is something about this. But hey, the guys at Yamaha, they know what they're doing and they think this is a cool feature. So that's on the Pro series. Oh, stainless steel frets on both guitars. It's just under 1,000 for standard series, just over 2,000 for Pro series. So you kind of, they're competitively priced if you think about some of the more famous brands for making this shape of guitar. It's if you think about decent American, decent Far Eastern or Mexican, it's that kind of dough, right? So check one out. Anyway, Mr. Chris, if you wouldn't mind giving us some tones, I'm sorry to thrust you into this, but...
So I'll find out I'm the lovely Debbie McGee, aren't I? So...
very much, sir.
Pleasure.
As you can see, some sort of features that make it more contemporary than a traditional T style. You have got the sort of armrest cutaway here. You've got the belly cut here. You've got the sort of the chamfered kind of heel joint with the recessed bolts to hold the neck in place. So it is it's a contemporary twist on a traditional style. I like where the truss rod adjustment is. It's a really interesting one. I think if you're familiar with Yamaha guitars, you know that what they've done with the Pacifica range is take the 12 series, so the more S-style series. They've pushed that into this kind of Standard Plus and Pro series range already. If you're not familiar with what Yamaha have been doing, you might be sitting there going, oh, Pacifica guitar, isn't that what I learned to play on my first guitar sort of thing? And I guess, yes, that's probably the original Pacifica was down there, but since doing this kind of Pro series especially, it's proper up there spec, really, really beautifully made, well thought out guitars. Yeah, thank you very much. And as you can see, I think we've got either all the colours or most of the colours, and the choice of your rosewood and maple fretboards, which you get on both the Pro and the Standard Plus. We're going to talk a little bit about what's happening with Chris and Cardinal Black this year. They had a sort of relentless year of touring this year, last year, so 26 is going to be a bit different. And then stay tuned, the treat at the end is I shall vacate. Danish Pete will come in and they'll jam out. But actually, I think potentially with one of them using a Standard Plus series and one of them using a Pro series of these guitars, so it sound a bit different to the first jam. But yes, tell us, you smashed it last year with sellout tours in way bigger venues than I've seen you play before, or at least going back a few years anyway.
Yeah.
Right across Europe and America.
Yeah, it was a busy year.
It was a busy year for you. And you've made enough money to take a year off, right?
Yeah, I've retired now. I'm in my dotage. No, it was a busy year. So we started with North America, which was awesome. Sold out, I think, every single show in the end, which was a bit surreal, but amazing fun. More time spent in an SUV than I ever want to spend in an SUV again. We arrived, we booked a van, essentially, like a transporter or a transit rather than minibus, only to then arrive at JFK and find out that they didn't actually have the van that we paid for. So their only suggestion really was to do it in two SUVs. So we drove cumulatively across the two SUVs about 7,500 miles from New York to San Francisco. So yeah, it was a long old month, but it was amazing, and every show was awesome, and just kind of do some really cool, iconic, famous venues as well. So good fun. Back in the UK then, we did the UK, which was awesome as well. Just again, a big step up in terms of venue size, which is always slightly daunting to see whether any bugger's actually going to show up at those shows, but alas, they did. And then Europe as well, which again was amazing. Just again, a big step up in terms of venue size. So it's been a good year.
Honestly, man, every time I see these, I sort of do a double take at the venue name, and I'm sort of thinking, I mean, it's like, but I just only because I think I just remember you playing in front of 50 people with Buck Evans.
Yeah.
It's like, and now it's like you're selling 1,500 tickets to a gig. It's just it's fabulous. And again, maybe you need reminding of this sometimes. It's only really the top echelon of bands that get to the point where you can do a tour and sell out 1,500. I mean, I know, it's like, you've properly made it. That's like a professional musician level.
It's, I mean, we were kind of chatting over this over lunch, and it's a hard way of making a living. This, I wouldn't be advocating this as a particularly sensible or easy route for people looking to make money from music. There are much, much easier ways of doing it, but there are a few that I think that are more rewarding if you kind of can get to that point and keep it up and find ways to monetize various facets of your business, which all sounds very boring and very kind of business minded, but it is what it is. It's a business. We are a business, the band, and we have to kind of making money or making enough money to survive our business.
Well, that I think, and again, for people that are watching, you must remember that for every show that you do where you think, wow, 1,500 tickets at £30 a go or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I know, the band doesn't get all of that money, but then what they do get is split between the band members. And then, of course, you've got to factor in, you need months and months off sometimes to go back to doing writing and recording. So
I mean, that's kind of 2026, really.
Well, that takes us on, doesn't it? So 26, we're probably going to see you less touring, maybe some festivals.
Yeah, we've got a couple of bits and bobs. We're doing Blackbird Festival in Cardiff Castle with Alter Bridge, which will be awesome. Alter Bridge and Bush and Skindred. We've got a little tour we're doing in May, an evening with, so basically much more relaxed, kind of seated shows, acoustic.
Is that just you and Tom doing that? Or
no, that'll be the five of us on stage, so kind of full band lineup, but kind of a little bit quieter, a bit more chilled. It's difficult, I guess, because obviously it's as much as it would be nice just to kind of disappear for a year and write and kind of get everything ready for the next record.
Can I take my audience with bingo card with me? And it's like, what plectrums do you use? Tick that one off like that. What string gauge do you use? Tick that one off like that. Or do you think, come on, audience, if you're going, ask some deeper questions about some of the lyrics or something like that.
It's cool. It's we did the first time on the UK tour we did a meet and greet thing in the afternoon, like a VIP experience. You could come in and watch sound check and ask some questions and stuff. And every day was such a varied range of questions. It wasn't just kind of, what's your transistor and your favourite overdrive pedal, and all this kind of stuff.
What is your transistor and your
I don't know why they always have adenoids whenever you're kind of envisioning your nerdy fan. But no, it's 2026 is going to be a comparatively quiet one, but 2027 is currently in the works. I find it quite boring and invigorating all at the same time that my kind of day to day at the moment is almost 2027. Kind of planning. North American tours, planning UK tours, European tours, all that kind of stuff, and making sure that 2027 is going to be as busy as humanly possible, so we can try and recoup some of the money that we inevitably have not made in 2026 when we've just been writing. So,
well, I'm excited.
I'm glad you are. I'm not.
Well, you know what, new music, because I'm always interested in. Is it too early to say whether you think the music is likely to stay within the sort of the vibe of the last album, or do you think there's are you and Tom kind of already beginning to sort of feel like, oh, maybe it's going to go in a slightly different?
It's honestly it's hard to tell. I guess inevitably the music that we make will always kind of sound like the music that we're making because it's the same bunch of people making it. As much as you can get producers in and people that kind of help keep an eye on the overarching theme of a record, kind of the general sound of it. Ultimately, it's still the same three guys making that music, so it's going to sound how it's going to sound. But we're just starting to write now, and invariably what me and Tom do is go and rent a cottage somewhere and have a nice little romantic getaway. The last time we did it happened to be attached to a vineyard, which I promise I didn't know about until we arrived.
But not much writing got done at that.
No, it didn't, and what did get done was unusable. But no, we're pretty prolific when we get down to it, and just kind of knuckle down to it and start writing. And just at the moment, the day to day is more focused on. We're driving up to Doncaster tomorrow to pick up a van. So
glamorous,
because ours is 350,000 miles in now, and we're waiting for the inevitable to happen. So tomorrow's new van day, and once that's out of the way, we're back on the record. So it's all glamour.
Well, man, like I say, there won't be many people watching this video that aren't familiar with you already. But if you aren't, please go and watch. He's honestly one of the finest, most talented British guitar players around. You've got such a unique sound.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
I massively appreciate you waving the flag for the Victory amp guys. You've got some super cool pedals. Again, you've got your signature pedal from Thorpe, the Electric Lightning, and of course now your signature guitar with Yamaha, the full set.
Honestly, it's a bit surreal because like you kind of referenced, it's been so long in the works that I guess there's a part of me which kind of feels like it's almost a formality because it's been coming for so long. But then over Christmas, chatting to extended family members who, with all the love in the world, don't really understand what I do, and trying to explain to them that you have a signature guitar coming out, and there was just a couple of moments where it was like, oh right, like Yamaha. I know Yamaha. I've heard of Yamaha, and you have your own guitar with them. It is very cool. So, try not to get kind of too. It's very easy to get tunnel vision, just kind of what's next. So
I can't imagine you ever not. You've got enough good people around you to keep your feet on the ground. I think you will always be.
You've met my wife, have you?
Yeah, you will always be Chris Buck, the boy from the Valleys, who's quite good on the guitar. So it's been a pleasure having you in again. I hope
Thank you.
26 is super productive and you're back on the road again soon with some new music. Ladies and gents, Chris Buck. Now, of course, here comes the highlight of the afternoon as I step aside and let a proper guitar player come in and jam with a super fine guitar player. But thank you so much for watching. Links for everything you've seen in this video will be in the description below, so you can go check them out. Thank you, Chris. Yes, like and subscribe.
Cheers.